We've been in the customer service industry for more than 65 years combined. Amos and I created this podcast to share our thoughts on how you can navigate customer service. And while we don't always agree, and I often have to explain to Amos why he's wrong, we hope that you will be the winner based on our experiences working from the inside out.
Bob, it is good to see you. We usually record on Fridays. It's every day is a Friday for you, so you can't tell the difference.
I think I probably stay more busy than you think I do, but you're right.
I know you do. I know you do. I see a lot of the Keisha Warrior stuff out.
Yeah.
Bob, I have a story for you. I don't know if you saw this one in the news. So, a family put a 6-year-old boy as an unaccompanied minor on a flight, one of those yellow airlines that sounds like Pirate. The flight was scheduled to go from Philadelphia to Fort Myers. So, of course, you know where this is going. They put the 6-year-old boy on a flight, shipped him off to Afghanistan. A kid, not quite, but they sent him to the wrong place.
Air is now flying to Afghanistan.
They send him to the wrong place nonetheless. Now, guys, I'm laughing about the story because it has a happy ending. The boy's fine. Everyone's, yeah. So, of course, our friends at Spirit Airlines come out and apologize and quickly throw the gate agent under the bus. She's fired. She's gone. That's not the part of the story I'm actually wanting to talk to you about. The part I want to tell you about is most Spirit Airline customers know the stories, and there's entire websites devoted to the horror show that can be flying this airline. Here's the thing. 3 out of 4 of those same customers, after a bad experience, continue to fly on Spirit Airlines. So I'm starting to think, for all the fan mail, a few people answered our poll questions. Thank you for that. We get about people complaining about bad service. Me starts to think that customer service may not be high on our listeners' list. What say you?
So I think there's more, this has more to do with pricing and availability versus service not mattering. So first of all, for the ones of you who are joining us for the first time, I'm Bob, this is Amos, and we have been in the contact center space. If you add up all the years together, somewhere around 60, 65 years. And I know that's hard to believe as young as we are, but we definitely have worked on the inside. So this podcast is really about trying to help you navigate as a consumer from the outside, working with companies and us seeing whether we can give you some insights that help with that. We'll slip off into the operational side occasionally, but our point is that. So let me share a reality in my life.
Okay.
I have Uverse.
Yes, that is a shame.
I hate a lot of things about Uverse.
Okay.
It's expensive.
Yep.
AT&T has what do you call it? They've stopped offering it anymore. They're now offering.
Yeah, they've sunsetted.
Sunset. That's the word I was looking for.
Yep.
But I hate a lot of things about them. They consistently get into contract wars with main channels like ABC and CBS. Right now, I don't have ABC. I've been without it for a couple of months now. I have to go through a digital antenna. I can't use my DVR. Like, there's a lot of things about that I don't like.
But you stay.
But I know I can change to YouTube TV.
Yes, sir.
I know that I can save money even, but it also requires setting up new contracts, multiple companies. I want to listen to my Grizzlies.
Right.
Shout out to Ja and the way he's been playing. I'll have to get a Bally's app, sports that I want. My wife's a sport. You know, my wife's a sport freak.
She's nuts.
She can tell you what defense they're running in the game.
She is crazy.
So I stay with that service. not because I like it,
Hmm.
but because it's just easier to stay with that. So I think maybe what you're talking about at Spirit is, I think people are using Spirit Air because they're super cheap
Okay.
and they're weighing the difference between bad service or not as good service.
Okay.
And they conclude that cheap service outweighs the bad service. But I believe it doesn't stop them from complaining. So if those people are going to have a bad experience,
Right.
they expect it based on what they read in the media and on what they have experienced. But they still want to fly from Memphis to Dallas for $69.
Right.
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 So we as consumers are always in that choice mode. Don't you think? Like, don't you think that we do this with big brands, we do this with well-known brands, we do this with smaller brands. So does that make sense?
Yeah, I think you have a point for once here, but I would say my dissonance, Bob, is if you tell me you care about customer service, and not just you have had bad customer service. I'll give you another one that drives me nuts, right? Like there's a Chick-fil-A by me, Chick-fil-A legendary service. I think their chicken's okay. It's fine. It's not spectacular. I know I just lost half the audience by making that statement. But I think their service
I'm probably going to create some trending in Twitter based on the people that listen to us if we're being listened to.
Well, listen, I think their service is impeccable. But there's a McDonald's across the street from this Chick-fil-A. This equally a line. It's not like I can buy like there is a line going in, and at times, at least in my area, the McDonald's run this. Now, the people who go to McDonald's complain about the bad service, about the this, but they're doing this on their way back to McDonald's. And that to me is where I see the dissonance on how consumers make choices. And I guess, Bob, I'm wondering how important service is on that list, or maybe people are not asking themselves that questions when they make decisions.
I understand what you're saying. The Chick-fil-A by my house, my wife and I talk about them printing money.
Yeah.
There's always a line from 10 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. Now, they've done something to make me a happier customer. We talked a couple of weekends ago about self-service.
Right.
So they made one of their two drive-throughs, an app-based service.
Oh,
if you order
smart.
on the app, you get to go past everybody who's standing in line to order and get in line to pick up your order. So they're already beating McDonald's on the service side from my perspective.
Yeah.
But I think that service matters at the point where it becomes not connected to the brand. So that person on Spirit Airlines probably, I could say that they may not have known that Spirit has a reputation as being a lesser airline. But let's say they did know that.
Right.
But they trusted them with their kid.
Right.
I don't believe they're going to trust that kid with Spirit anymore. Right?
Probably not.
So the question is, where's the line in relation to your brand?
I think Bob,
I think that's what we have. That's what the consumer has to do. I'm walking into what's the name of the Otto's, the place where you're buying seconds stuff that has already been on the shelf somewhere else and is now being put in the store. it's a mess. It's not all put together. You expect it.
Right.
So I think it's about choosing the brands and the services that matter to you, right? Like,
yeah.
you,
I think I hear what you're saying. I'm actually with you, Bob. So maybe the advice, if you are listening to this, I think part of what we're trying to say to you is you're going to make decisions around cost, around quality, and all of that. Service is in there somewhere. You got to make sure you're making a conscious decision on what your line is. If your line is a credit card reader on the bathroom, on the plane, right? Like, okay, like maybe that's your line. But if you know that your line is less than that, because I think consumers and people who listen to the show are smart. You're making a conscious decision that I know the service is not going to be this, but I did not think they were going to send my kid to a different city, right? Like there's that. And so Bob, do you also think even if they've made that calculations, they will still complain? Meaning, if it's as bad as you thought it was, you knew that going in, I think they still complain.
I believe that the NPS scores for Spirit Air for the casual customer is probably bad.
It's horrible. No, it's horrible.
I believe that if you took that same NPS, and for those out there in consumer land, it's the NPS stands for
your net promoter score, your likelihood to recommend.
Asking you a question: would you recommend this service to your friend?
They have bad scores.
So that's the question. So, but I believe that there are loyal Spirit Airline customers who go, dude, I saved $150 by flying on Spirit. Yeah, they lost my luggage, but they eventually found it. Yeah, I had to sit in an uncomfortable seat, but that's okay. Yeah, I had to pay $3 for my water, but you know, what are you going to do?
I still saved $100 some dollars. So that's a good place to leave it before we do our parting words is, ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to cheap out on service, know what your pain tolerance is. Go in knowing that, okay, I'm going to do this. And Bob says it's okay to complain about it. I say no. If you knew what you were signing up for, I do not want to hear about they lost your luggage. You knew exactly what you were signing up for. Bob, on our way out,
I don't want to hear about. I'll agree with your point about. I don't want to hear about you lost the luggage.
Right.
I do think you're rational by saying you lost my kid.
Well, that's okay. Well, so the line. We will tolerate anything all the way up to
you lost my 12-year-old.
Do not lose my child. After that, anything before that, go to town.
We're in play.
That was still. Parting words today. I think this conversation we just had reminded me of BlackBerry, the company you and I used to, be loyal customers to. They started this whole smartphone thing.
That's where we learned to thumb type.
That's how we did that. In the last 2 quarters of before they went bankrupt, they had phenomenal net promoter scores, which goes to the point you were making, that customers can say something on a survey standpoint, right? For all of Spirit's bad NPS scores, in reality, they have extremely loyal customers, right? So there is a concept of, will I recommend this? Probably not. But when push comes to shove, when I make this decision, so it's important as consumers, if you're listening to this, I think the message here is, make sure your words and your actions are aligned, because it sends the wrong signal. BlackBerry thought things were going great. Meanwhile, you were like, yeah, no, I'm out the door. So what would be yours, Bob?
I'll quickly run through a quick second story. So Skip Hyken, who we know in the world we live in, is a customer service guru, speaks about customer service, writes about it. Yep. He did a marketing study, a research study with 1,000 customers, and he asked them, is customer service more important than price in the beginning of the survey? And then secondarily, he's asked them, will you pay more for good service? So trying to clarify where the line is. And in both answers, the answer was 58% of the people said yes, customer service is more important than price. And yes, customer service, I will pay for better service. So with those both being at 58%, here's the conclusion you made. You can't ignore, companies can't ignore that more than half of customers are saying, please take care of me as I give and give me better service, and I'll pay a little bit more. So as consumers, we have to expect that we're going to pay more for better service. We're going to pay less for potentially
Spirit Airlines.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That tracks. I mean, I think at least that puts some alignment in my world, because I started from a place of this isn't aligning. Bob, it was good to see you. Look forward to debating you again next week.
Always great. Always great. Thanks, Amos.